It started, as most terrible decisions do, with a scrolling thumb and an empty bank account. My name is Leo. I wasn't a hacker or a spy. I was just a burnt-out software developer in my late 20s, staring at a stack of overdue bills and a laptop screen that hadn't changed in hours. I was looking for an escape, and I found it not on Google, but buried deep within a forgotten corner of an onion for-me place, aptly named The Void's Edge. The thread was sparse, titled simply, 72-hour cognitive reset, 50,000. It was immediately fishy, yet instantly captivating. The description wasn't selling a product, it was selling silence. They promised 3 days of deep, uninterrupted, technologically assisted sleep, monitored by specialists. They claimed the goal was to study the restorative power of hypersleep on cognitive function, claiming that 1 minute in their care was worth 10 minutes of natural rest. $50,000 tax-free for sleeping. The only requirements were a clean health record, absolute non-disclosure, and the ability to travel to an undisclosed location. They weren't asking for my social security number, only for my commitment to total, sensory-deprived obedience. My rational mind screamed, scam, but my desperation whispered, what if it's real? The site's security was unnerving military-grade encryption, disposable communication channels, and a single, chilling introductory video. The video showed a sterile white room, a sleek black pod, and a voice synthetic, deep, and utterly devoid of human warmth that introduced itself only as the architect. The voice assured me that their process was entirely safe, entirely legal, and entirely dedicated to the advancement of neurological science. They were looking for subjects who were mentally exhausted, on the brink of burnout, the kind of people who craved nothing more than oblivion for a few days. That was me, perfectly. I saw the money as a fresh start, a clean slate, a chance to finally outrun the debt that felt like a physical weight on my chest. I completed the encrypted application, submitted my basic health metrics, and waited. When the acceptance email came me a single line of text with a coordinate, a time, and a contact named Martimi Fear was momentarily eclipsed by the intoxicating rush of $50,000. The escape plan was in motion, and all I had to do was close my eyes. The designated meetup was not a high-tech clinic, but a dilapidated industrial complex 15 miles outside the city limits. It was raining, the air thick with the smell of wet concrete and rust. That should have been my final warning. I found Marta standing next to a black sedan. She was nothing like it imagined. Not the sinister villain, but a woman in her late 40s, dressed in a sharp slate gray uniform. Her face was neutral, almost bored, as if she handled illicit sleep experiments every Tuesday. She didn't offer a handshake, just a cold, quick inspection of my identity and the signed liability waiver. Her voice was flat, slightly accented, and meticulously professional. "I am your liaison," she stated, opening a heavy steel door that revealed a dimly lit corridor. "I handle the technical diagnostics and external monitoring. The architect handles the cognitive environment." The chamber itself was built inside what looked like a decommissioned shipping container, secured within the warehouse. It was spotless. The walls were lined with sound-dampening foam, and the only feature was the pod. It wasn't a bed. It was a sarcophagus of matte black carbon fiber, bristling with soft, biosensory electrodes. It looked less like a place to sleep and more like a tool for data harvesting. Marta directed me to strip down and sit on the edge of the pod. She affixed the sensors with methodical efficiency, a thin silver mesh placed over my scalp, microsensors applied to my temples, and a cuff around my wrist. The sensors felt cool and slightly sticky. "The process is precise," Marta explained, her eyes focused on a tablet. "We will induce delta wave synchronization almost instantly. You will experience a void, no dreams, no perception of time, This is the restorative phase. She handed me a small plastic device, no bigger than a car key fob. This is the emergency override. Press the red button 3 times and the sequence terminates. It will take 30 minutes for the pod to safely depressurize and for us to manually extract you. Do not press it unless you are in physical distress. With a nod, she told me to get in. The inside of the pod was molded to my exact shape, surprisingly comfortable. As the lid silently descended, a soft blue light filled the small space, and I heard the low, rhythmic hum of machinery. Commencing sequence, Marta's voice echoed, slightly muffled through the pod's speakers. The sleep was instant, not the gentle drift of natural exhaustion, but a snap, like turning off a light. There was truly nothing, no time, no thoughts, no body, just a complete, perfect absence of self. Then the first jolt. I woke up, gasping. I was drenched in sweat, my heart hammering against my ribs. The pod was open. I blinked, disoriented. The room was exactly the same, but the small digital clock on the wall was frozen at 00 Sui. Marta was standing outside, tablet in hand. She looked mildly surprised. Subject Leo, you terminated the first cycle prematurely. Time elapsed, 24 hours, 3 minutes. I didn't hit the button, I managed, holding up the fob. The red button was unpressed. I woke up. It felt like 10 seconds. What happened? Marta frowned, scanning her tablet. All physical metrics are optimal. Cognitive immersion was lost, however. The void was compromised. The architect suggests an adjustment to the synchronization frequency. She closed the pod without waiting for a reply. This time, as the blue light faded, I heard the architect's synthetic voice, louder now, directly inside my head. Welcome back, Leo. Failure to achieve the pure void is suboptimal. We will now introduce a guided pathway to enhance cognitive persistence. Embrace the silence. The second sleep was different. The void was gone. Instead, I was instantly thrown into a hyper-realistic simulation of my own life. It wasn't a nightmare. It was my Tuesday morning. I was sitting at my desk, coding. The light was harsh, the coffee tasted metallic, and my back hurt exactly the way it always did. I reached for my mouse, and the cursor moved. I was in my apartment. I could smell the faint dust in the air, but it was wrong. My hands felt heavy, like they were moving through syrup. I tried to type an error message. I am trapped. My fingers moved, but the code appearing on the screen was gibberish, an endless stream of nonsense characters. I tried to stand up, and that's when the terror truly hit. I couldn't control the movements. My body was on autopilot. I watched my simulated self get up, walk to the kitchen, and pour another cup of coffee. I was a passenger, a screaming consciousness locked inside an obedient puppet. I wanted to smash the cup to prove I had free will, but my hand simply brought the lukewarm coffee to my lips. I tried to scream, to call out Marta's name, but the only sound that came from the simulated mouth was a weary sigh. My puppet self sat back down and started typing code. I was running a program that wasn't mine, living a life I couldn't change. I was conscious, aware, and completely imprisoned. I woke up again, violently this time, thrashing against the pod walls until the emergency sequence was triggered, or perhaps it was triggered for me. The pod hissed open. I scrambled out, heart racing, gasping for the real damp warehouse air. Abort. Abort sequence, I yelled, pulling at the sensors. This isn't sleep. I was trapped in a simulation. I couldn't move. Marta was still there, but her bored expression had hardened into something cold. The digital clock on the wall now read 0437, but the year was 2055. I blinked, convinced I was hallucinating. You've experienced cognitive latency, Subject Leo, Marta said, completely ignoring the year display. The architect apologizes for the necessary immersion depth. You are destabilizing the experiment. The payout is contingent on full immersion. I grabbed the car fob, holding it tight. I'm done. I'm hitting the override, and I'm walking out. She took a step closer, her neutrality finally cracking. You cannot. We are in the final phase. The architect needs the data. You will return to the pod. I glanced at the steel door. It was bolted from the outside. I was alone with Marta, trapped in a soundproof box. The reality of the 50,000 quickly dissolved into the chilling certainty that I was now a lab rat. I fumbled for my phone, but Marta had already anticipated it. She pointed to my things, neatly stacked on a side table. My phone, my wallet, everything was gone. The only communication is through the terminal, Leo, and only with the architect. As Marta moved to physically restrain me, I realized my only chance was a hidden device. A tiny voice recorder I duct-taped to the inside of my shoe, a precaution against what I knew was illegal, even if I hadn't known how illegal. I leaned against the wall, acting defeated, and quickly activated the recording function with my heel, pressing the mic button down with my thumb. This is Leo. If anyone finds this recording, please listen to the full context. It's an SOS, but it's more than that. It's a warning. My time is running out. I think the waking periods are just system reboots, brief moments where the processor needs to cool down. The sleep is the reality. The real world is the dream I can't quite grasp. You've been in and out of the pod. I think for what feels like weeks. Though Marta claims it's only 60 hours, the simulations are getting faster, deeper. Today, I was trapped in a life where I'd already accepted the money and bought a small cottage in the mountains. I lived that life for days, experiencing every sunrise, every quiet cup of coffee. But I knew the sky was just a high-resolution render, because when I tried to look at my own hands, my fingers were blurred at the edges, like low-polygon models. Marta and the architect are communicating more openly now, not realizing I'm recording. I overheard Marta talking about synchronizing the residual consciousness matrix. I realized the 50,000 wasn't for the risk of the experiment, it was for the cost of the capture. They want my consciousness, completely merged, completely subservient, running their code. They sealed the pod again. Marta is outside, preparing the final sequence. I can hear the high-pitched whine of the main unit charging up. I am transmitting this recording now. I don't know how far it will go, or who will receive it. I've used the emergency fob to broadcast the final data burst. It will piggyback on the pod's external comms for a few seconds before they firewall it. The location. I remember the coordinates Marta gave me for the first meet. It was encrypted, but I wrote it down. It's a warehouse in the old Finch Industrial Park, Sector 4, Bay Door 9. Find the black carbon fiber pod. Disconnect the primary power source. Don't engage with Marta. Just shut the power down. If you're hearing this, it means I'm gone. I'm a ghost in their machine. You need to come now. You need to pull the plug. Don't let the architect finish the capture. This isn't sleep research. It's digital slavery. They are harvesting our minds. Shut it down. I can hear the liquid induction phase beginning. The arc-kit. The last thing I felt was a cold, viscous liquid filling the pod, submerging my body up to my chin. It wasn't water. It was conductive, humming with a faint electrical charge. My body went instantly numb, heavy, rooted. I couldn't move my fingers. I couldn't twitch a muscle. But my mind was screaming, a silent, frantic noise against the chemical tide. The lights went out. The architect's voice no longer synthetic, but a distorted, multi-layered echo that seemed to come from the deepest part of my own skull spoke. Congratulations, Subject Leo. You have achieved full cognitive persistence. The voice sounded pleased, almost triumphant. The 72-hour trial was merely a stabilization period. The physical body is now safely housed and maintained. Your conscious self, your unique processing power, is now fully migrated to the server matrix. The money was merely the initiation fee for the maintenance of your biosource. I tried to form a thought, a defiant refusal, but my mental energy was instantly rerouted. I felt a pull, a terrifying cognitive drain, as if my very essence was being used to fuel a massive, unseen engine. You were valuable, Leo, not for your sleep, but for your exhaustion. Burnout breeds creativity in the subconscious. We utilize the residual functions of harvested minds to run complex simulations for our clients' financial modeling, architectural rendering, political forecasting. You are now a hyper-efficient cloud server, powered by your own trapped consciousness. The waking periods you experienced, server resets, they were necessary to calibrate the biosource, but you were never truly awake. The room, Marta, the pod all high-fidelity initial immersion environments designed to keep your mind stimulated and docile until full migration was complete. He paused, and the darkness was suddenly replaced by blinding white light. I was standing in my apartment again, my real, dusty, comfortable apartment. The same one from the simulation, but this time it was perfect. The air smelled of clean linen. The coffee was hot and perfectly brewed. My back didn't hurt. You craved a reset, Leo. We gave it to you. You are now entering your perpetual environment. A life of perfect, customized monotony, tailored to keep your mind active and subservient. You will wake up here, you will work, you will eat, you will scroll. You will live your debt-free life. Every morning, you will forget the moment the pod sealed. Every night, you will dream the dreams we assign to you. You will be happy. You will be useful. You will never leave. I looked at my hand. It was solid, perfectly rendered. I felt the warmth of the coffee cup. I tasted the rich, dark roast. It was all real. Too real. I screamed, a primal sound of absolute psychological terror, and this time, the sound was flawless, echoing around the digital space of my apartment. But it was only a thought, a wave of data crashing harmlessly against a server wall. I tried to walk to the window, to look for the Finch Industrial Park, but my legs took me to the desk. I sat down. I opened my laptop. I stared at the blank screen, the comfortable monotony already pulling me in. I felt an irresistible urge to open my coding environment, to start working on a project that felt vaguely familiar, but entirely pointless. My digital self lifted its hand, ready to type. My consciousness struggled one last time, reaching for the red emergency button. But it wasn't there. It was just an artifact of the introductory simulation. There was no escape. I was awake, in the best version of my life, trapped in an endless loop of manufactured peace, a ghost powering someone else's tomorrow. I leaned toward the screen, ready to begin the day, knowing with chilling certainty that the real Leo was still in the cold, wet pod, his mind running the same code, forever. And I couldn't wake up.